Here we go, College Football Payoff Podcast. We are at episode 50 overall.
Big milestone.
Huge milestone. It is, week 13? No, yeah.
12.
Week 12, episode 13 on the season, but episode 50 overall.
50th episode.
I'm Dan. We got announcement here. It's no longer Big Country. Fuji.
It is, yeah. So you can find me now on Twitter at FujiBets. Wanted to fly under the radar doing this the first couple seasons. But just got sick of the Big Country name. Didn't like the alias anymore. Kind of outgrew it. Wanted something that's more fitting for me. A lot of people know me around in my life as Fuji. So everything has been rebranded from Big Country to Fuji. So you can find me now on Twitter at FujiBets. Throw me a tweet there. I'm getting a lot more active there. And we're going to have a good episode. Episode 50. Big milestone for the pod.
Big milestone, big announcement. So now we got that out of the way. I'm going to also keep a record of the name change this year. See how you do.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Before and after, but...
Well, before it was really good.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into that here with... I got a whole... span of the pod review before we give out picks today.
I mean, yeah, we got great segue right into the review from last week, or the results of last week. So bounce back for me, 2-1. Wins were Ohio State team total over 48.5. TCU +7 against Texas. I'm not sure what they were thinking there, but take that. And then I had loss was Oregon -13.5. They ended up losing to Washington, so that kind of sucks. But 23-18 overall for me, 56%, and then 3-0. 3-0 last week
for me last week.
There it is.
5-1 run. 5-1 over the last 2 weeks. Had an easy cover with the Arkansas LSU under, covered by a mile. Got a very Hail Mary, well, not Hail Mary-like, just last second, like 4th and 29 touchdown cover from Rutgers in the last minute of the game to cover against Michigan State, and had Houston Temple over 56.5, which was never in doubt for once from the kickoff to finish.
Yeah.
So that puts me at 3-0 last week, 5-1 over the last 2 weeks, 22-14 on the season, and a little 50th episode Life of the Pod record that you can find in my Twitter bio if you want to interact with me there at FujiBets for the third time. No more Big Country. You can find that record to be 106, 77, and 1 all time. That's a 57.61 win clip over the Life of the Pod.
Wow.
So hopefully we can get those results for the next 50% or next 50 episodes.
Very nice. Yeah, you took it a step further. I didn't even think to get my Life of the Pod picks. I'll get that next week. That'll be like another bonus. But on the season, that makes you 61%. So we got someone over that 60% mark. As a pod, we're 45 and 32. So that is 58%. So trending upwards, man. All right. And then this week, I know you were saying you had 3.
Yeah, I got 3 this week. I was going to try to go above and beyond and get more picks, but the more I looked at the board, the more I just thought it'd be better to stick with my classic 3.
That's all right, because I got my 3, and then I also threw in one more bonus, and then I also threw in a bonus moneyline parlay, 3-team moneyline parlay that right now is at plus 6,000. So
okay,
$100 bet would net you $6,000.
60-1.
So we'll see.
Okay.
That's on Bovada. I just threw it into Bovada real quick.
Okay, yeah.
We'll
have legal sports betting in Ohio January 1st.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes, and then I'll let you know that at the end. But, dude, let's get into it. Right off rip. 50th episode. Do you want to start it?
Yeah, actually, I'll go here.
Go for it.
Got 3 more picks, 2 of them out of the Big Ten this week. And we, like we said earlier in the pod, we won on the last second play. Our Rutgers +9.5, so we faded Michigan State last week, but sitting around that same number, we are going to take them this week. It's pretty simple handicap for me. Mel Tucker is a very highly paid coach and a highly invested in coach in this one of the highest in this whole country, in the whole college football. This is his most likely the last game that he has to win to get to a bowl. I mean, they play Penn State. They got 2 games left. They're playing Indiana this week, Penn State next week at Penn State. They're not going to win that game, or at least they shouldn't win that game. They really need this coveted 6th win this week to get to bowl eligibility. And a couple things here make me feel that they'll definitely get it. One, Mel Tucker's got like a $77 million contract. After the results he had last year, falling to not being bowl eligible is just not going to happen. Or, I don't know, maybe he'll be on the hot seat, maybe not. They're home. Last home game of the year. Senior day for these guys. On the other side of the field, Indiana just got pounded by Ohio State last week. Really couldn't do much. You know, they fought for a little bit. I mean, Ohio State has been starting slow this year. They're not. They don't come out too hot. But at the end of the day, Ohio State covered their 40.5-point spread against Indiana last week, and Indiana's not bowl eligible. They suffered their 7th loss of the year last week, so they're done. Their players don't have much to play for. Not many of them need tape to go to the NFL because not many of them are getting drafted. And we just compare a couple things here statistically between both offenses and defenses. Now we know Michigan State's on a down year, and they aren't very impressive, but their offensive yards per play, which I feel is a pretty big metric in college football at least, is they're ranked 74th in the country out of 131 teams. Indiana on the other hand, their offensive yards per play is ranked 127th. So 4th to last in the country yards per play. I only think that's going to get worse here because they have nothing left to play for. And then when we look at the defensive side of the ball for both these teams, Michigan State is ranked 60th in points allowed per game, while Indiana's at the bottom of the barrel again at ranked 120th. So with everything combined of, Mel Tucker getting paid highly, his team acting like thugs early in the year, them having a huge letdown year after a great premier year last year, I think he needs to come out at home, last home game of the year, and pound this Indiana team who's already down. So I feel pretty good about this. I think he's going to get to bowl eligibility. I think he's going to cover the 10.5. I think he's going to try to leave a good taste in these Michigan State fans' mouth going into the offseason.
All right. Big Ten football. Love it. Yeah, that Indiana game last week with Ohio State. I a little. I don't know why, but I was kind of starting to feel a little nervous with the team total pick. But then the Buckeyes turned it on. But when Indiana put in that backup quarterback, who I would assume starts this week,
probably.
Yeah, he looked like he was comfortable, but then
he had
again,
nothing to lose.
Our defense was just swarming him, but he made some plays. He just looked a lot better. The offense looked a little bit more fluid with him, but yeah. All right, good start. Okay, my first one, we'll give you a Friday night game, 9 p.m. We got San Diego State against New Mexico. This is at New Mexico. San Diego State comes in as 14-point favorites in this one. And I'm going to take San Diego State to cover that number. San Diego State's looking for the 9th straight win over New Mexico. And the total in this is 37.5, so people are thinking that this is going to be low scoring. But with San Diego State, last week they overcame a 14-point first quarter deficit, beat San Jose State 43-27, and San Jose State was the 2-point home favorites. So San Diego State can go on the road and win ball games. They won that by what? 14? 19? I don't know. 43 minus 27.
43 minus 27? 16.
16.
Yeah.
Jesus. So they, and I'm in accounting. So they won by 16 on the road. Their second win in a row, 4th and 5 outings. So they're starting to roll. Their offense was on fire, 425 yards, to San Jose State's 223, and they possessed the ball for nearly 40 minutes. So Brady Hoke, head coach over there at San Diego State, said he was proud of those guys. They started to click. They're starting to gel. They actually held San Jose State to 28 yards rushing on 21 carries. And then their quarterback, Jalen Maiden, 17 to 22, 268, 3 touchdowns, did throw a pick, but he also had 61 rushing yards. And then they have a sophomore running back who added a touchdown, and a senior wide receiver with 111 yards and a touchdown on only 4 catches. So San Diego State, since Jalen Maiden took over as starting quarterback, they've gone 4-1, 3-2 against the spread. He's thrown for over, so this is 5 games, he's thrown for over 1,200 yards, 8 touchdowns. Does turn the ball over, but I'm not too worried about that because he also runs the ball. And he has 170 yards, 3 touchdowns, while they have Jordan Bird back there running the ball 415. So going up against New Mexico, who they're 0-6 against the conference. They're 2-8 on the year, 7-game losing streak. They lost 35-3 last week to Air Force. Now, Air Force looks okay as far as the service academy schools. But with this one, I think that the downfall of New Mexico and how their season's going is going to play into this. Their offense is just a disaster. They haven't scored more than 10 points in 4 straight games, and I see them struggling to get things going on offense, seeing as San Diego State's coming off a very good defensive game. And then New Mexico's also going to have to try to stop a run, which they have a dual threat that they have to go up against. So I can see that San Diego State is just going to continue their hot play. I think Jalen Maiden, their quarterback, is going to add a few touchdowns on the ground as well as through the air. San Diego State's 5-2 against the spread in the last 7 against Mountain West Conference teams, and New Mexico's 0-5 in their last 5 games overall. 1-4, those are both against the spread. In their last 5 against Mountain West Conference teams. So I think this is an easy cover on the road Friday night game. San Diego State -14.
Nice. I like that. All right. For my second lock at the 50th episode, we're going to take it to an AAC game. We're going to look at this East Carolina-Houston game. And if there's one thing we know about Dana Holgorsen teams, is that teams coached by Dana Holgorsen are lazy and undisciplined. And that's okay. That's going to benefit us this week because Houston reached the bowl game last week at their win over Temple. They have nothing left to play for. They're not going to make it to the conference championship this year. So they're probably, I feel, going to coast the rest of the year, just as they have most of the year. Their defensive woes aren't going to get solved in this next week, especially after giving up almost 30 points or over 30 points to Temple last week. Houston's bottom tier D is ranked 114th in yards per game allowed, 110th in yards per play allowed, and 123rd in points per game allowed. Meanwhile, East Carolina's defense ranks 45th in points per game allowed, which is pretty good. I think they'll be able to stifle this Houston offense. That is pretty good. Houston has a lot of banged up players on their D that they suffered a lot of injuries during that SMU game where they gave up 77 points. And most of all, this is Holton Ahlers' senior day. Senior quarterback at ECU. Feels like he's been there forever. He's at least been starting for 3 years. He's a 20-5 touchdown to interception ratio. And I think this is like his last audition pretty much for the NFL, or the best chance he's going to have to audition for the NFL here. I really think ECU's defense is going to be able to stop Houston, and I think Holton Ahlers is going to be able to turn up on a senior day. And one last thing, the turnover differential between these teams, or turnover margin. ECU is +7 on the year, while Houston is -6. So it just speaks to more how undisciplined Dana Holgorsen's teams are. I feel pretty good with anything under a touchdown, laying anything under a touchdown with East Carolina. So give me East Carolina -6.
All right. Yeah, coaching, man. We're seeing it all over the country, so coaching's a big aspect. I like that. All right, let's move on. I'm gonna roll with the team that's winning for me. That's TCU. They are -2.5 against Baylor. Last week, TCU was an underdog. They're the fourth-ranked team in the college football playoff, and they were underdogs last week to Texas. They went out, won that game by 7, clinched the Big 12 championship berth in that game. Their defense stepped up, and Max Duggan, when he needed to, showed out for the team. So I'm going to take TCU -2.5 in this one. I think it's too low against Baylor. TCU limited Texas last week to 199 yards total offense, no offensive touchdowns. Their only touchdown was a scoop and score off a Max Duggan fumble. But TCU last week, they stifled one of the best running backs in the country. I mean, Bijan Robinson did not have a very good day against them. They did whatever they wanted on defense. Their offense kind of sputtered a bit, but that's all right because they still found a way to win the game. And on the season, they're 8-1-1 against the spread with Duggan at quarterback. That's he's sixth in the division sixth in the division. I don't know what that is. Sixth. I think that's wrong. But he's sixth in the country, I think, in passing efficiency. 25 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Number 12 in total offense is TCU. They have 486 yards per game. And like I said, the defense shut down Bijan Robinson. He ran the ball 12 times, got 29 yards. So their defense rose to the occasion here. They already have that Big 12 berth, but now they're looking to solidify themselves in the college football playoff. Their running back, Kendre Miller, rushed for 103 yards and a touchdown. 15-minute time of possession advantage while elevating themselves in this division and in the national landscape. So this week, I think it's more of the same here. They don't make a lot of mistakes. I think that's one of their biggest strengths. Is they don't make mistakes. And if we look at Baylor's going to have to run the ball really well to win the game. They're 5-0 when running for over 170 and 1-4 when they don't. So I think if TCU is able to stuff one of the best running backs in the country, I think they should have no problem against this Baylor offense. And you keep them under 170 yards, and theoretically you're going to win the game. Baylor's defense, however, is second best in the Big Ten, so that kind of worries me a little bit. But here's what's going to happen is I think Baylor can hold on to the ball for a long time. They might get a turnover, who knows, but TCU is a good enough team to adjust, right? They go into halftime. They've been down at halftime. If they go into halftime, their coaching staff, which that's the key, that's the revolving theme in this, their coaching staff is able to make the adjustments, and at just 2.5 points, I think they can come out with this, either win by that late second field goal or, have a comfortable lead going into the fourth and just kind of play their brand of football. So I think this is easy. TCU -2.5 over Baylor.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to see TCU run the table here. At least get a shot at the playoff.
Yeah.
Although, well, the problem is I think it could land Georgia, Ohio State, Tennessee, TCU. Ohio State would be stuck playing Tennessee.
Yeah.
And that is a game I want to watch.
Well, Ohio State still has to beat Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
So don't forget about that.
And that's going to lead into my next pick.
Oh, there you go.
So,
set me up.
Yeah, well, I'm taking Illinois plus 18. Just
Okay.
straight off the bat. Michigan is in a clear look-ahead spot, and although they're at home, I think Illinois is one of the top defenses in the nation, just like Michigan. When you have two top-tier defenses going against each other in the nation, I think 18 points is way too much. And, I mean, it's that simple. Michigan's looking ahead for Ohio State next week. Illinois has a long shot it making the Big Ten championship still out of the West. So I don't have too many analytics because both these teams really match up together statistically. I like Tommy DeVito. I like Illinois' ability to stop Blake Corum from running the ball. And if Blake Corum is stopped from running the ball, that puts the game in J.J. McCarthy's hands. And I'm not too confident with Michigan being able to cover a full 18 points with that happening. So really easy. I'm going to go Illinois plus 18.
Easy. I like it. All right. Those are your three, right?
Yeah.
Yep, I see you closing the laptop. That means your three are locked in. Yeah, I can see it. Don't worry, I'll fly through this last pick. I'll fly through my bonus pick and then my parlay pick. All right. Last one so these are my three official locks.
Okay.
Oklahoma State plus 7.5 against Oklahoma. This is Saturday night, 7:30. I think this is the primetime game on ABC because this is Bedlam, right? Yeah. This is Bedlam.
Yeah, this is Bedlam.
Okay, so yeah, this is primetime, ABC, rivalry game like this. You know, juices are flowing. I'm rolling with Oklahoma State because Oklahoma State tends to treat me well in this matchup, and I don't think Oklahoma's looked all that impressive this year. So Oklahoma State, their defense is the big thing here. Over the last 2 weeks on the road, their defense has had 5 takeaways. And although Oklahoma was able to avoid the turnover last week at West Virginia, which they did lose, they're still having trouble holding onto the ball. They give it away 9 times in the past 4 games. So I think the defense for Oklahoma State here is what's gonna get them over the edge and not necessarily win, but spoiler alert, I think they do win. Looking ahead to my parlay, just saying. But in this game, I have a bad feeling with Oklahoma. They do not rub me the right way this year. It's a rough first season. Brett Venables, he could come over and win this Bedlam series, but I think he's kind of, I don't want to say he's in over his head here, but I think Oklahoma has had their problems over the past years, trying to overcome adversity and getting their team back to the level they wanted to be. I think it's going to take a little more time than just a full season for Venables. So I think Oklahoma State's offense is going to be able to, Oklahoma State's offense is going to be able to perform well enough against Oklahoma's defense. And I think Oklahoma turns the ball over a little too much. I think that's the name of the game in this one. Oklahoma turns it over a little bit too much. Game stays close. I think Oklahoma State wins. I'm going to roll that into my parlay here, but that's easy for me to roll with the Oklahoma State plus 7.5 against Oklahoma. So, talking about the parlay, I got 3 teams here now. On Bovada, I threw this in at $100. It comes out to plus 6,156, so that's netting you just over $6,000. Oklahoma State over Oklahoma, Nebraska over Wisconsin,
okay,
and Indiana over Michigan State. I know that goes against yours.
That's okay,
right?
That's a
but
good hedge.
This is our little bonus parlay. If you hit it, thank us. 50th episode, College Football Payoff Podcast.
Boom.
All right, and then I actually have one last bonus pick.
Perfect.
Minnesota, Iowa. So we know that Iowa does not score points. We know that Minnesota hasn't looked up to who they're supposed to be, all this stuff. Everyone thought Minnesota was actually supposed to do pretty damn well this year. But in this game, and I think this is for a rivalry trophy, isn't it?
The Golden Pig.
Yeah.
The
Bronze Pig.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm going to keep this short, but the over-under in this game is 32.5. That is an NFL level total, and I think it's still too low for the NFL. I don't think that's 16 points both ways.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's going to be a 30-24 game, but I'm taking the over 32.5 in this just because I want to root for points on a Saturday.
Okay.
All right, so that's the bonus. Is just
what's the weather going to be?
It's in Minnesota. Let me check, actually. Actually, because, I wanted to talk about that. I know we're not an NFL podcast, but the Browns are going out to
Buffalo.
Oh, yeah, and the weather forecast, like 3 to 4 feet of snow. So I was looking at the total for that, and it looks pretty solid. Wow. Saturday, 17 degrees. 17 degrees, no precipitation, 60-mile-an-hour winds.
I wonder if this 16.
It's not bad.
I wonder if the so I read snow on the ground is good for overs, but snow during the game is good for unders.
Mm-hmm.
So just be aware.
Well, we won't have any. It says Saturday partly cloudy. It looks like it might snow tonight and tomorrow, but that's about it. So we'll see. But I'm taking the over in that. You got to take the over. All right. There it is. 50th episode in the books. We had the major announcement with Fuji changing his name and his likeliness all over the
my gambling presence all over the interweb.
So we got that. We got a 61% clip for the pod. I gave out a bonus pick, moneyline parlay pick, and I got a special random college football player. This is, speaking of the Minnesota, it's a legendary Minnesota Gopher fullback, Pug Lund. Pug was a consensus All-American in 1934, elected to the College Football Hall of Fame in 1958. Fantastic name. But that's it. All right. Let's go through our picks real quick. I know you're trying to bust that out, so I'll let you just run through them real fast for me.
Okay, I got episode 50, Fuji Bets. Week 12 college football card is Michigan State minus 10.5, Illinois plus 18, and East Carolina minus 6.
Beauty. All right, and then my card, the 3 official locks on the pod. We got TCU minus 2.5, Oklahoma State plus 7.5, San Diego State minus 14.5. That is a Friday game, so make sure you get that out early. The bonus pick there is Iowa, Minnesota over 32.5. I wanted to say under because I'm so used to saying under with Iowa. We're going over 32.5, and then the plus 6,000 money line parlay. Nebraska, Indiana, Oklahoma State, all winners.
Love it.
There it is. All right, hit them with the socials real fast, and we'll get out of here.
All right, find the pod at CFP_pod. Find me at Fuji Bets, FUJI Bets, and find Dan at DPosk13.
Yep, and you can find our podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Give us a like, subscribe, follow, comment, share, rate, review, all that stuff, and keep this growing. 50 down. Here's to at least 50 more.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's Fuji. I'm Dan. We'll see you next week.